All right, here we go. We're back at it again, getting you set for a long holiday weekend of racing. We're only going to focus on Monday on the West Coast at Santa Anita with two really interesting races. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Belmont Probables and the field that could be taking shape coming up on June the 6th. Recap on the Preakness. Great job from Paco and Napoleon Solo. No one could close on that track, which makes me even more upset that Jaime Torres chose to take Incredible back to last and then think he was going to close on that track. Like, you're the jockey. Shouldn't you be more aware of what's happening with the track bias and the pace in front of you? Anyway, he probably wasn't going to win anyway. All right, let's move on, try to get the money that's out there for us now. We're going to take a look at what's happening with the Grade 1 Gamely Stakes coming up on Monday from Santa Anita, mile and an eighth on the turf course. It will be race number 6. So I put obviously the little green dash marks that I do consistently, which I think tells you about the speed, right? The 7 Rashmi is the speed. Thought Process has some speed. 1,000 miles with Mike Smith, I think, will be forwardly placed. Can anyone else jump out there maybe and be a pace factor in this race? Nope, take a breath, probably won't do it. Hang the Moon definitely won't do it. Public Assembly on the inside, Joel Rosario looking for kind of a change of pace as he has been in a bit of a slump. I think he'll rebound with these mounts in Southern California, but I don't expect him to be forwardly placed with Public Assembly. So this comes down to the concept of, all right, what's happening? Well, Rashmi, not Rashimi, Rashmi is, I think, controlling speed and should break on top. I don't think that she is fast enough to carry them all around going a mile and an eighth, but I think she'll break on top, and I don't know if that ensures a good pace, but it means that somebody will be out there. But I don't think she's good enough to hold on to it. But I do think that Vronti will be in the perfect spot. So the number 6 with Juan Hernandez for Grand Motion has won back-to-back outings. I think 3 in a row definitely is possible. I like that they've been to different tracks, especially going from Tampa to Keeneland. I thought that was very nice to win at both of those tracks in back-to-back performances. Has just enough tactical speed that they won't be too far off, but they're not going to be involved in any speed duel. And I know we have, I don't know if, yeah, I guess they are better. Yeah, they're better, more accomplished closers in this race. Hang the Moon is more accomplished and ships in for Safi Joseph. And, even Take a Breath is probably more accomplished than Vronti. But I'm looking for a horse that's trending in the right direction. And usually when you find a horse trending in the right direction, that means their form is improving each time out and they are still retaining value. I think Vronti will be value in this race. So that's my selection, the 6 in the Grade 1 Gamely Stakes. That's coming up. This is Monday, holiday card from Santa Anita. Go from there to another really competitive race. This is going to be the Grade 1 Shoemaker Mile, 1 mile on the turf. It's going to be race number 8. Once again, we put our little dash marks next to the horses that we think are going to be pace factors. Now, this one is a bit more questionable because, well, we know for a fact that the 8 is fast and really only has one way to go. And if they want to be competitive in this race, Call Me Corey pretty much has to do what they've been doing. I don't know if they're classy enough to deal with this field, but they'll break on top. Now, Genius Jimmy is a horse that loves to just sit right there and then get the jump on the closers. And I think that horse will have to move a little bit quicker to stay with Call Me Corey, and that could be their undoing. Then, King of Gosford is a horse that might want to be close. But then the inside, El Potente for Dan Blacker. This horse has natural speed and is now coming off just a little bit of a freshening, been gone for maybe about 2.5 months. That, to me, would signify a horse that wants to be forwardly placed as well. They want to be up there close. So, in this situation, I think when that happens, that automatically pushes your pace. You have to think this horse, Call Me Corey, has no other way to go, and Mike Smith loves nothing more than to get out there on the front end and do some things. You see this horse breaking the maiden, going a mile. Those are decent fractions, 22, 44. That's nice. And that'll just force everyone else to move a little bit quicker than they probably want to early. So that means that El Potente coming out the layoff will be assertive. And we know that Genius Jimmy and Juan Hernandez, well, they never want to be too far off of any pace scenario. So I think that guarantees that it pushes a little bit. So now the question is, who's going to pick up the pieces, right? Who'll be the benefactor of this pace? And I just mentioned before about a rider that I think is going to get a reversal of fortune. Joel Rosario, I think, is poised to do just that. And this is a runner for Papa Mandela that needs the other Mandela horse, Call Me Corey. Oh, sorry, that's a Ryan Hansen horse. Apologize. Richard Mandela's horse needs Call Me Corey and Genius Jimmy and El Potente to go out there and set a strong pace. And I really think this horse is trending in the right direction. You know, he doesn't win enough, but he's only had 12 starts. And now I like him third off the layoff. And what I really like is, I don't know if this is part of his normal routine, but those 2 bullet workouts for Mr. Mandela with SEAL Team to me are like, oh my goodness, what is happening? Just really, really impressive. Really impressive. So I'm expecting this horse, SEAL Team, to have an incredible turn of foot when they get into the stretch. And just with that little bit of pace that I've talked about, I think it's going to be perfect. So I'm going to go with SEAL Team and the new rider, Joel Rosario. That's our pick in the Shoemaker Mile. It is the number 7 horse in the 8th race Monday at Santa Anita. All right, from there, we want to take a look at what's around the corner. 158th running of the Belmont Stakes. A mile and a quarter, not your traditional mile and a half, but that'll be the last time they do that this year. And you can take a look at your probables for this race coming up on June the 6th, and they'll be running this race at Saratoga Racecourse. The little rose insignias there are the runners that are coming back from the Kentucky Derby. Potente didn't really do anything, just kind of ran around in a circle, and had great position early on, was saving ground and couldn't do anything with it. Oselli, we know this individual's game. This individual has got to go somewhere else to break the maiden, and then maybe they can come back to stakes competition. I don't even think they're going to finish in the superfecta in this race. I think that horse is probably tired. Chip Honcho has some speed. We'll see if they're going to be able to use it to stay close. Talk to me, Jimmy. Same situation, has some speed. So you've got 2 pace factors there. Chief Wallaby, probably ran the best of the, losing horses from the Derby. It was a really impressive 4th. I'm sure everybody saw it. Horse came through, surging on the inside, got stopped and bumped a little bit, and still kind of made that move on to be 4th. You can't say whether the horse would have beaten or, been in a photo with the winner, but I got to admit, I was poo-pooing Chief Wallaby going into the Derby, and then watching that run again, you're like, okay, this horse has got something. He's definitely worth watching as they continue moving forward. Otino was the horse that I think ran 2nd behind Renegade, and I don't know, but it's Chad. Commandment is another horse that I thought they ran all right. They finished just, I think, right there with Incredibolt in the Kentucky Derby, and it wasn't a bad run at all, just not good enough. Growth Equity, as I do believe the horse that ran past Talk to Me Jimmy in like the Peter Pan or something of that nature. Not a bad performance considering you had a lone horse out there on the front end, so there's something there. Renegade, we just talked about that performance. Power Shift is a horse that won on Derby Day, opening race on the card at Churchill Downs. Just kind of sat off of a controlling speed and then ran past them. I have no idea what this horse is doing in this race, but this crop of 3-year-olds is not that bad. And you can just bring somebody off of a maiden victory. But okay, go for it, Trepp. Go ahead, go for it there, Pletcher. So Happy is a horse that probably had the best position early on in the Derby and couldn't do anything with it. Not quite sure what they're going to do back at a mile and a quarter again for the Belmont. Golden Tempo, obviously, your winner, loves a mile and a quarter. Not sure they'll get enough to run at here, but I also don't expect them to be as far back for this race as they were for the Kentucky Derby, but we'll see. And then Emerging Market is, I want to say, Louisiana Derby winner. I'm doing this off of my top of my head. Or maybe he ran 2nd. I can't remember. Not a bad horse. Oh, I think he may have been the horse that went to get Pavlovian. And then he ran in the Derby, and he was kind of, 5th or 6th early to the outside, and then he just faded. Yeah, I don't know if that horse is good enough either. So this is kind of what it looks like. And it's going to be difficult. Chief Wallaby is probably the horse that I think is going in the right direction, but everybody else probably can see that. So he probably may not represent much value. Renegade is going to be your favorite. I think that's something that a lot of people can agree on right now. Golden Tempo will not. So he'll be value if he can get it done. That's great. It's going to be really interesting. We'll have to get our handicapping hats on. And we won't deal with this, though, officially until they draw for the post positions coming up on June the 1st, I do believe. And then at that point, we'll get a better idea as to how the field's going to shape up. And then the thing about it is we didn't have a chance to make any adjustments on Preakness Saturday when we realized about 5, 6, 7, 8 races in, we're like, nobody's closing. And then that became painfully obvious when they ran the Preakness and closers had no shot whatsoever. So we'll see how the track plays at Saratoga coming up for the Belmont on June the 6th. All right, that's how we do it here on Horse Race Bets. In the meantime, in between time, until next time, we'll see you here. Do me a favor. Good luck and enjoy whatever you're into.